Welcome back to Secrets of the Beast. This is Tale 4, The Quiet Gate of Visitation. And out of around 60 videos that I've made in the last year, this could quite possibly be the most important video to date. Like I said, this is Tale 4, The Quiet Gate of Visitation. I'm Reality from Fostering Reality. I'm an over-fostered, unadopted, aged-out foster care survivor, and I didn't just learn this system from studying textbooks and reform panels. Though I'm all up in that now, I was actually born inside this motherboard. I barely survived it, and then I spent years dismantling its logic, from the original child-saving movements of the 1800s through modern CPS, funding ASFA enforcement timelines, and the CCWIS data architecture that now decides outcomes long before parents realize the decision has even been made. CCWIS, or the Comprehensive Child Welfare Information System, is the soul of CPS. It's automated, and in my opinion, it's evil. So in this walkthrough, I'll be referring to it as CWIS. Secrets of the Beast is not a motivational series. It's not advocacy theater. It's just a system walkthrough for parents currently in an open CPS case and for parents who are still disoriented because their case technically closed, but the consequences never did. And when I say help, I mean teaching you how to stop self-incriminating inside a machine that rewards compliance theater and punishes the emotional truth that you're actually living. This is not legal advice, this is just system literacy. There are no promises here, there is only awareness. So this is the New Year edition, and if you're thinking that New Year means new inside the system, then you already might not quite understand the system that you're inside. Parents think January means reset, but the system thinks January means audit. CWIS data cycles harden, supervisor expectations recalibrate, ASFA clocks tighten, funding justification, pressure increases. What does not reset is your behavioral history. Nothing decays, nothing expires, everything just aggregates. So today we're talking about the visitation, because visitation is one of the most powerful enforcement mechanisms in an open CPS case, and almost nobody is explaining this honestly online. So let me ask you something directly. What do you think the most dangerous document in your CPS case is? It's not the petition, and it's not the psychological evaluation. It's not even the court order. The most dangerous document is the visit note. Visit notes are sold to parents as neutral observation, but that's a lie of framing, not intent. A visit note is a compressed behavioral packet designed to translate human interaction into CWIS-compatible risk fields. Once that translation happens, nuance is gone, context is gone, and intent is gone. What remains is the pattern. CWIS does not store stories, it stores flags and patterns. So here's what parents are almost never told. Most visit notes are not written as the visit unfolds. They're reconstructed after the fact. They're filtered through prior reports, supervisor pressure, placement feedback, and the trajectory that your case is already coded towards. So the note is not a transcript, it's an alignment document. And this is why two parents can behave nearly identical and receive radically different documentation. It's not the system lying, it's compressing reality to fit the outcome pipeline. CWIS does not read nuance. It reads fields like transition difficulty, visit escalation, emotional regulation, authority response, post-visit dysregulation, placement impact, and service justification. Language that sounds harmless to a parent becomes dangerous once it's actually translated. Child appears excited becomes overstimulation. Child struggled at the goodbye becomes transition difficulty. Parent required redirection becomes boundary resistance. Parent struggle to disengage becomes emotional enmeshment. Child dysregulated post-visit becomes placement destabilization. None of these mean you're a bad parent. They just mean that the system just learned how expensive your presence is. This is where psychology matters, but not the therapy psychology. This is power psychology. Parents enter visitation operating from attachment brain. Repair, explanation, reassurance. You're responding to separation trauma in real time. The system is not operating from that space at all. The system operates from compliance shaping, liability minimization, and time conservation. Those two operating systems are incompatible. This is why good parents keep accidentally training the system to erase them. We try to fix the visit notes verbally. We explain, we clarify, we advocate emotionally. Inside the system, that is the self-incrimination. Verbal corrections are not logged. Emotional tone, resistance velocity, and compliance latency is logged. The more you talk, the more you feed the model. So parents leave thinking that they've corrected a record, but the system leaves with more data to be used against you. So here is a base rule to remember before you ever walk into a visit. You never fight the visit note inside the visit. You correct them later, in writing, in a way that is boring enough to survive CWIS ingestion. After every visit, you write your own note the same day, and it's time-stamped. It's neutral, it contains no accusations and no emotional framing. You don't say that anyone was wrong. If something like that comes up, you just say you're adding context for accuracy. Context is tolerated, defense is flagged. Now here's where it stops being theory and becomes execution. Because parents are not just being observed, they're being tested, and those tests change depending on where you are in the case timeline. When I say you mirror their structure, I'm not talking about paperwork only. I'm talking about how you structure the visit itself. Because the visit is raw material that gets compressed into a note. And if you control the structure, you control what data is even available to be harvested. Visits should never be treated as free-form time because free-form time creates unpredictable data, and unpredictable data invites interpretation. A visit should be broken into deliberate phases that align with how CPS documents behavior and how quiz fields are populated. The opening phase is regulation and grounding. This is not the time for questions, explanations, or emotional unloading. The greeting should be the same every visit. Same words, same tone, same physical distance. That doesn't mean cold, it means safe. A system-safe greeting is short, warm, and bounded. Something like, "Hey love, I'm really glad to see you. We're gonna hang out for a bit, do some drawing, and then we'll wrap up like we always do." No questions, no updates, no explanations about court, the case, or how much you missed them. What that does psychologically is critical. You acknowledge connection, you name structure, and you anchor the ending immediately. That reduces anticipatory anxiety, which is what drives dysregulation later. Regulation at the beginning flattens the curve at the end. Asking, "How have you been?" It feels loving, but it forces the child to scan their internal state under observation. That produces emotional variance, and emotional variance gets coded. Love here is not intensity. Love is containment. The next phase is parallel activity, not competitive activity. This is where many parents accidentally sabotage themselves. Competitive games introduce winning, losing, frustration tolerance, authority negotiation, and emotional spikes. That's rich data, and it's not in your favor. Parallel activities like drawing, building, or reading side by side allow the child to lead without you directing outcomes. You're present, attentive, and responsive, but you're not controlling the space. Letting the child lead doesn't mean chaos. It means you guide the container, not the content. You set the boundaries, the child chooses within them. That distinction matters because quiz language differentiates between parental structure and parental control. One stabilizes, the other gets coded as intrusive or enmeshment depending on the worker's frame. The next phase should be a cooperative task with a clear beginning and end. Clean up routines, simple puzzles, organizing materials, or finishing a shared project. This phase exists for one reason: follow through. Follow through is one of the strongest protective signals across jurisdictions because it maps directly to service compliance, visit progression, and eventual reunification narratives. You're showing completion without pressure. Everything up to this point is preparation. This next part is where cases are won or lost quietly. Then comes transition preparation, and this is the most important part of the entire visit. Transitions are weighted heavier than play, affection, or conversation because transitions predict placement stability. 5-minute warning, 2-minute warning, 1-minute warning. Calm voice, same phrasing every time. No bargaining, no apologies, no guilt statements. Guilt escalates dysregulation, and dysregulation after the visit gets coded against you, not the placement. So parents also need a model for leaving because goodbye is where attachment brain and system logic collide the hardest. A system-safe goodbye is calm, brief, and consistent. Something like, "I had a great time with you today. We're gonna pick this up next time. I'll see you soon." Then you stand up, hand off cleanly, and you go. No apologies for leaving. No, "I hate this." No, "I wish things were different." Those statements load the child with emotional weight that carries straight back into the placement, and that weight gets reported. Love at goodbye is reassurance without collapse. Your calm teaches the child that separation is survivable. The system reads that as stability. This is also where parents can actively reduce post-visit fallout. Ending something that is meant to continue next time is not a trick. It's a regulation strategy. Leaving a drawing unfinished, pausing a book mid-chapter, keeping a shared notebook that resumes next visit. Continuity without rupture reduces emotional crash. Reduced crash reduces post-visit dysregulation. Reduced dysregulation flattens placement reports, and flattens placement reports protect the visitation. So you're not doing this for settlement. You're doing it because placement feedback carries more weight than your words. When the child returns to placement regulated, the visit is coded as stabilizing even if it was emotionally rich. When the child returns dysregulated, the visit gets coded as a destabilizing event, even if it looked perfect in the room. This is why you don't escalate emotion at the goodbye. This is why you don't linger, and you don't argue about the time. The last 5 minutes of this visit are more expensive than the first 5. Now understand how this aligns with timelines. At the early phase of a case, visits are baseline capture, affect regulation, authority response, compliance velocity. Mid-phase, usually months 2 through 5, consistency under repetition and stress. The later phases, when ASFA pressure increases, rather visitation supports or undermines permanency planning. The same behavior can be interpreted differently depending on the phase. A tearful goodbye in month 1 may be tolerated, but the same goodbye in month 6 may justify modification. This isn't about fairness, it's about the timeline logic. This is why you don't overperform early and you don't escalate late. You stay boring across the whole time. Your behavior should look almost identical in month 1 and month 6. That consistency is what protects you when the file turns predictive, and your documentation and your visit structure work together. Your notes are not there to convince CPS today. They're there to survive comparison later. When your contemporaneous notes align with your visit structure and your visit structure produces predictable placement outcomes, narrative drift becomes expensive. And cost matters more than intent ever will in this system. Supervisors care about the cost, courts care about the defendability, and agencies care about liability. Your job is not to be understood, your job is to be expensive to mischaracterize. This is why you do the minimum required engagement and nothing extra. You comply where required, you don't volunteer, you don't perform insight, and you do not explain your feelings. You let the system starve on low signal input. That's not disengagement, that's controlled discipline under observation. Visitation is not where you heal the relationship. Healing happens later. Visitation is where the system decides whether you are manageable across time. If you treat visits like an emotional reunion, you give the system leverage. If you treat a visit like a controlled environment, you're taking the leverage away. That's the quiet gate. It's not mystical, it's procedural. And once you see it, you stop walking into it blind and you stop training the system to erase you. I pray that you never need this walkthrough. But the truth is, in this country, roughly 70,000 families a week are pulled into an open CPS case. That's about 10,000 families every single day who didn't wake up thinking that they would need this information. So, if this helped you, or you know someone who might need it someday, please like it, share it, and repost it. Not for me, but because someone you'll never meet is about to enter a system that they don't understand. And this may be the only map they ever see. Thank you. I appreciate you.